Well, hello, and welcome back to a new video. I know it's been a while, it's been a really long time, and I didn't mean for it to be, so long since my last video, but sometimes life just happens for, not even for the worse. Sometimes it's just good things happening. But it's been a while, and I wish I could have uploaded earlier, but I couldn't because I had some just, first of all, I got a new job ever since my last video. And then after a few months, I wanted to start recording again, but then I was having some problems with my computer. I don't know if you really understand anything about these things, but basically I switched my graphics card and then my power supply unit, and still the issues were there. So for the longest time I couldn't figure it out, but hopefully I have finally cracked the code and I can start just filming again and uploading again. And I don't know about having like a schedule or just being very strict about uploading. I think I want to just build and feel good about the builds that I do, no matter how long they take me. I think that's what works for me. And as you can see, this is a different type of video because it's a speed build and I'm talking over it. And this is how I am able to do them now, because I don't really have time to just sit and immerse myself in a build and do it at the same time. So I did this build throughout the course of like a few weeks, I think. So I would just get home from work and then I would build for, I don't know, half an hour, 1 hour, and then I would come back 2 days later, build for another 20 minutes. And what happened a lot of times was I would build and then my game would like kind of crash, so I couldn't move anything anymore, and I also couldn't save. So I would click on the save button and it would just load forever. So I lost everything, not everything, but a lot of progress, like 2 or 3 times, and that's a bit unmotivating. Yeah. And then also I'm not as comfortable talking like for, I don't know, however long this video is going to be straight. And I think it's fine. I just got to do it and not overthink it, because it's been so long since my last video. So I feel like I'm out of practice, but there's no better time than now. But anyway, getting that out of the way, it's really good to be back. And what are we doing here? So we are in Sulani, but it looks a bit different. So I have, with some cheats, I have made Sulani snowy because I wanted to make like an island type of thing, like Svalbard. So if you know Svalbard, it's an island in Norway. And when I was looking at pictures, I was like seeing that it doesn't have any trees. So I was like, that's going to be interesting to build something like that in The Sims. And this is just inspired by Svalbard. It's definitely not a recreation. And Sulani is a world that has a lot of trees, just like any other world. So it was interesting to try to cover up all of the trees, especially all the palm trees that there are in Sulani. I did that by just using huge rocks, lifting rocks, and making them look as natural as possible. Just because Sulani is almost the only world that we have that has like independent islands, if you can call them that. And then I use this huge rock in the screen right now to kind of make it look like the snow continued. And that's the thing about Sulani with snow. So the snow would only be on the lot, inside the lot limits. The sand outside the lot limits would still be sand, so no snow on them. And this is something that I actually never really thought about, but I don't think it snows in winter in Sulani if you have seasons. And I have read online that it sometimes does. It's very rare. So I would like to know if that has ever happened to you, because I don't really do gameplay in Solani or just gameplay in general, but it was a really interesting thought. And seeing how it behaves in the world when I was building, it was very, very interesting. And it made me think about how it would look like if it snowed. And, it's not a world where it's supposed to snow that much. At least I don't think it should be. But yeah, it's a challenge to build something like this where it shouldn't be. And I would love to do like a whole world like this, not just like this, just whole worlds. I think it would be really interesting because I'm very into world building and creating something that feels like it's telling a story. And you can see here that under the foundation, you can still see sand. And I try to cover up as best as I can with rocks and snow piles. I used a lot of snowy escape rocks and snow to build this kind of island. And the purpose of this island is, I think, I had in mind having like some Sims, a few selected people living here, and they would be studying the island, and not just the island itself, like geology related stuff, but also the animals, the temperature, the water, maybe for, I don't know, a greater project. And I thought that we could have, so there are, I think, 5 total lot things. So for instance, I'm building, as you can see, the final one. Sorry, something just popped up on my screen and I was very confused by it. And I was trying to make them different colors because I saw in a lot of pictures online they had different colors of houses next to each other. But then I thought it gave more this unified look if they're all the same color. So that's what we went for here. And I changed the shape a lot of times. I just didn't include it in the speed build. But this is pretty much the final layout of the whole build. And then we add more rocks and snow and then stairs. And one thing about this build was I wanted it to be very cluttered, but in a way that it tells a story. So I'm thinking that this is something, or this is an island that is very remote, so access is not necessarily easy, and because of that you have to be very resourceful, not only with the things that you get from the island itself, but also the things that you bring from the outside. So if they have, imagine, deliveries every, I don't know, 3-6 months, then they have to use those things for whatever they need. So if they receive food in containers, like wooden boxes, maybe they use the wood of the boxes to build new furniture. And so I kind of went with that storyline. Here I am trying to cover some leaves of some palm trees. But yeah, that was kind of the story that I was going for. And I put columns on all sides on all edges of each little house. And so we end up having two of the houses, or two of these small locations. They end up being common areas. So one is more kitchen stuff, and the other is more living room-esque. And then we have, and then we have 3 that are just bedrooms. And I kind of wanted to make a story with them. And you will see when we decorate it. I was trying to make this one a bit more modern, but I ended up not doing that because I thought, they use what they have at hand. So, a lot of things are just repurposed. They're old. They have been passed down a lot of times, I guess, because you don't live here permanently. You come here to study, to research, I suppose. And then off to the side of the lot, we are at the limit of the lot here, but I still felt like we needed something else. So I was trying to build a place where they could, where the Sims could hang out. Maybe I end up just putting a lighthouse there. I thought it made sense, especially in a place like this. If I don't know if you get deliveries or something at night, then it makes sense to have a lighthouse here. And then I also use some debug stairs because this is outside of the lot limits, to make or to give this illusion that you can access the lighthouse. It's obviously not usable, and I'm not really sure about the whole lot being usable. I have not player tested it, but I really like building things like this, even if it's just for the fun of it. And I don't know, I miss, I think, reading stories of the people did with The Sims. So not just video clips, but also just full-on stories. They would write the stories and then they would make the Sims, like the characters in the Sims, and then they would build the places, just this whole thing, this whole production. And there were even I remember a couple years back, not a couple, many years back, people had really big productions of videos made in the Sims. Yeah, I miss that. But it's something that's very time consuming, and but it's worth it for the art of it. And then I put a boat here. I figured they would also leave sometimes on a boat to check the nearby areas, I suppose. We end up putting another one which is kind of wrecked. So if you want to make a storyline from that, you can. I really like those details that can just make a whole story seem different than what it actually is. And yeah, I'm adding details here, the stairs. And as I said, these 3 on the back are going to be bedrooms. So one of them I put bunk beds. So I was thinking that we could have 2 students there. They were maybe science students. They would be researching, I don't know, maybe some animals, native animals, or even fauna and flora, because even though there aren't trees, maybe there's still something else. I don't know. I think that's the fun of it. You can just because you're in this case, I'm being inspired by a real life place that doesn't have trees, which just seems so crazy. So you can make up your own rules in the game and make up your own stories. So I built this kind of communal space outside where I thought they could just fish together, and then they would just cook the fish and eat it there. Just because they wouldn't have much else to do on this small island besides being inside, especially if it's snowy all the time. And here I'm adding some details. Oh, and this is something that I enjoy doing sometimes, putting these posts with the wires. This took me a long time to get right. I fiddled with the tool mod a lot, and but I really do like the way it looks at the end. And it made sense for me in this build to have something like this, like these wires connecting, because you don't really have a huge power source. So you have maybe one power source, and then all of it is just fueled by that. So, and that's another thing. I think these people here would live off a lot of just natural things like candles. So as if they lived off grid. Is that how you say it? I forgot. But yeah, with no electricity, even though they do have electricity. But they use normal fireplaces and not electric fireplaces and stuff like that. But yeah, we are on to the kitchen, which is a kitchen slash laundry, because I figured they would have to do their laundry inside. So we put some washing and dryers, a washing machine and a dryer. And we go for, obviously, this wooden look, because I imagine to get wood on an island that does not have trees, you would just, maybe these houses came pre-made, I don't know. But yeah, we will use a lot of mix match wood, because you have to use what you do have on hand. And we use these counters. They have this kind of old look. And I also like these doors because they look chipped, like the painting on them is chipped. And I just thought, it looks real, because if you live near the sea, then it gets old faster because of the sea salt, the sea air, which is salty, all of that sea breeze. And so we use also some old looking appliances, because they don't really do upgrades often, so they just repair things over and over. At least that's what I had in mind when I built this. And it's just fun to think of it like that. And I did use a lot of, they don't have any green outside, so I do put some plants inside. And I think that could be something that they're working on. So is it possible for plants to thrive in this environment? Because I'm sure people in Svalbard have plants inside. Well, I'm not 100%, but I'm like 99. If you're from Svalbard, you're probably laughing. But I didn't look much into it, because I wanted to be inspired but not be restricted to something that exists already. So I do, I kind of lost my train of thought there. But yeah, I was talking, oh yeah, I remember now. I did look up some places to rent in Svalbard, like apartments or houses. And the interiors were very modern, in a way that I think they kind of looked like Airbnbs, which I get. That was not what I wanted to go for here. I did think in the beginning of having like the house in the further back, or the bedroom in the further back, like a more modern space, just because I think it would be cool to have people visiting the island in a way that tourists do. But then I swapped. I forgot that idea. I swapped for something else. And then here I am cluttering up the kitchen, because it's not often that you can get rid of stuff. So you are in an island or on an island, and you have a lot of things. Like you just kind of hoard it all. And then you cannot put it in the trash per se. You just have to use it as spare parts. I think. This is the little laundry area just off the entrance to the kitchen. I do a little curtain thing, and I put some of these beams also, because it just looks more detailed like that. And this is the more or less the final layout. I just put a bunch of clutter afterwards. And I'm really into like how it came out, because none of it matches, but then it kind of goes all together. And this is a cool trick that I do sometimes. I size down a counter. For some reason, this is only possible with base game counters. But yeah, I wanted to do that so I could have a a coffee machine there. I didn't know what to do with this space by the entrance. I end up doing that kind of coffee station because I figured if these are people who are researchers, then they probably do drink a lot of coffee, and they probably receive huge batches of coffee beans or something. But yeah, I use a lot of laundry dye, the stuff pack, because I have these rugs that are not exactly old looking, but they look kind of handmade, and so a lot of the things I went for are based on that look of being handmade. And this is the other communal space. This is the living room. And I did use this rug, which I thought maybe they killed a polar bear, which is sad. Or we can just think that it's a fake rug. I'm not very into the having real fur or real animals as as rugs. I think it's a bit brute, but I thought it made sense in this build. And that little thing where with the marker, I think that would be cool to include, because maybe it would be like they would have a map of the island or something, and then they would just share with each other what they're working on. And as I said, I used a lot of things that kind of look old or worn down. And I do include one TV, which is here. Also an old looking one. Because I think maybe sometimes they get frequency and they can watch TV, same for the radio. And sometimes, when it's windy or when it's snowing a lot, maybe they don't. I feel like they would not rely much on TV to get news and stuff like that. But I think there are so many storylines that you can create off of this island. And so it was really just a fun challenge. And as I said, I think I would really like to build like a whole world like this. If we end up getting like a world build tool, I will definitely be working on in one, because I think it's what I like most about building is telling a story through the space, through the objects. And I kind of try to do that through these objects, because they're not necessarily modern or traditional people, but being some place like this, what you have access to and what you don't. And I'm not sure if I would do this like living months or years in some place like that. But it's research and it's work and it has to be done. So it's very kind of an ode to that, because those jobs or those careers often feel not overshadowed, but it's something that you don't hear of often. And sometimes it's just people doing great work to help us in terms of the environment, in terms of preserving species, not only flowers and plants, but also animals. And I think it's important to keep protecting what's native and what exists, because we're not here to destroy, we're here to protect. But yeah, I placed some more clutter. I thought maybe they have suitcases hanging around, a lot of books, because when you can't watch TV or just if you want to relax, if you want to pass the time, what are you going to do if you don't have electricity? So a lot of books so they can read. And actually, I did want to build something like this because I read this year earlier a book called A Wild Dark Shore, and it is also on an island, but it's inspired by I'm not sure if it's in Svalbard, but it's this bunker that has a lot of seeds. So in case of in a catastrophe, that bunker like is protecting a lot of seeds and just seeds for species of plants and fruits. So humanity is not lost forever. We always have that place going back to. So the book is inspired by that. It's a very remote island. So yeah, I kind of like the vibe because it was a very mysterious book, but also it had some, I don't know, it was, in a weird way, it was comforting, knowing the limits of where you are, and also living with unexpected expectations, I guess, in terms of you don't know what nature will throw at you tomorrow. And so here you see an example of what I was saying, using like an old box of vegetables or something as a bedside table. This would be the place of the two students, at least that's what I thought for this bedroom. And I thought they could be studying science, as I said. And so I put a computer, and I put some satellites and other things that they can use, since the bed that's on the top bunk bed. So the top bunk bed doesn't have a bedside table. So I do place that shelf there so they can have some knickknacks there. And of course, a lot of posters. I do use the tool mod to rotate them. Okay, sorry, I had to get some water. My throat was killing me, but back at it. This is your reminder to also drink some water. I was trying to figure out the layout here. So this is the computer we end up using, and also one laptop, I think, on this table, because I figured they were working together on something. And I really do place a lot of clutter, not just books, but also science related stuff. And there are rocks there in the posters. I thought they are geologists. Is that how you say it in English? But yeah, maybe they do study that. And then for the second bedroom, I thought it could maybe be a researcher / their teacher. And it would be fun for her to be like kind of supervising their work. Maybe they are on the brink of figuring something out about a problem that I do not know what it is. But yeah, we do also build her room, or in my mind it was a female character, this teacher. And then there is the third room, which I kind of built having a doctor and the husband in mind. The guy is very handy, so all of these built things, maybe he does them. And she's like a doctor because maybe it's mandatory to have a doctor on the island, but maybe she doesn't really have a lot to do as a doctor because it's only a few people. But you know what? Let's jump into the game and check out the rest of the build. So here we are in this little island. We do have a wrecked ship over here, which was not showing. And then we have just the whole lot here. I did place some rocks and snow around to kind of look like icebergs. But yeah, this is just what it looks like at this hour. This is what it looks like in the morning, but let's maybe move on to this daylight to kind of check out the build. So just going around, we see there's a lot happening. I think it's cool to explore what's happening on each individual like little house. And this should not be like this. Okay, that's fixed. Yeah, so we do have the lighthouse there and we have our buildings here. So maybe let's start off where we also started building, which was the kitchen. We go through this door and right away we have the coffee station, which is very, a lot of wood, obviously. Opposite, we have these herbs that I think they're, to season their foods and stuff. And then we have the little laundry space. And we have here 2 toilets because it's important to have toilets in the communal space. A bit of a squeeze, but, it works. And then we have, this is kind of a modern fridge because maybe they did get a new one. And there's something missing. Oh, it might have gotten deleted, but I did put something against this part of the fridge to kind of look like the front of it. But yeah, I just imagine, family sending over postcards and stuff like that, and they just put it up there. I think that was a cool idea. And then here we have the kitchen itself. A lot of things happening. I have a fireplace, and then we have the dining table. I did use these as like a curtain-ish type of thing. And then we have a door outside. I'm now realizing that these doors don't look like they have glass, but we will pretend that's not the case. And yeah, when it's sunny, I think it's cool to have a coffee outside. And then going back outside, we can check over on this side, the living room. So once we are in, we have this very cozy space. We have a bathroom over here. I didn't really show it on in the speed build, but it's very simple. And then we have clutter because it's a very lived-in space, and it's a common space, so it has a bit of everyone. Let's say. And I did put up a lot of pictures because I thought they could be hanging their family portraits and friends, and so they don't miss them as much. I thought that would be a cool detail as well. And then outside here, we just have these 2 chairs, to sit. You have this great view of the rest of Sulani, which is almost untouched if it weren't for the snow. But yeah, this is it for the living room. Going outside here, we have the first bedroom, which is the 2 students' bedroom. So we have this very junk-filled space. They're very messy, but they're hard at work. That's what matters. I did like that detail of putting the shoes against the wall. And they are, continuing with the messy line of creation. This is what the room ends up looking like. So I did put these things here just because I think it would be interesting if they study like the animals, but also like their reactions or the reactions that their bodies would be having in an environment like this after 1 month, 2 months, 10 months, something like that. They have a little bathroom here. They all have this handmade look because maybe they built everything on the island itself. But yeah, a small one, but it has everything you would need. And building something like this is very, very good to kind of break off the modern builds that I usually do. And this is the second bedroom, so this would be the teacher's bedroom. And I think she could also be like a photographer. Maybe she took these pictures that they're on the wall. Maybe she also takes pictures of birds and kind of collects and keeps track of the animals that live on the island. And then maybe she collects also some rocks. I did put a bunch of them here. There's a sneaky bottle there because it might not be easy being a teacher. I did put these pillows here on the floor because I think it would be interesting to have this storyline where she would sit with one of the students in front of the fireplace and just discuss theories, and not necessarily just the students, but just having a spot for someone else to sit and be cozy and talk about just theories and what you're working on, share ideas, and have a cup of coffee or hot chocolate. And then we also have a bathroom here, which is a bit bigger. And this was like an experiment. I think it would be funny to have this sim experimenting growing different types of plants, like tropical plants or not tropical plants, in their bathrooms. So that's why we also have that table by the entrance to maybe pot and repot plants. But yeah, that's it for this bathroom. And yeah, that's it for also this storyline. They're a photographer slash scientist slash teacher. Listen, you gotta be a lot of things when you're in an island like this. Then we have some more wood here, I assumed for the fireplace. And then over here we have the last bedroom. So this is a couple. So it's a doctor and the handyman husband. And to me, they have this very funny interaction throughout their lives here, which is she has a lot of hobbies like knitting, because there isn't much work as a doctor for her to perform on the island. And he does a lot of refurbishments. He upcycles things. He works with wood and all kinds of materials. And so they give each other gifts. For instance, maybe she gifted these to him and he gifted these to her. And maybe they do think it's tacky to give this to each other, but it's you gotta have fun, and you're in an island trap, so you're gonna use what you have. And I did put a lot of. There are some things here that I think, okay, if she's a doctor, she takes care of like bruises and stuff. So I did include those here to kind of make it look more realistic. And then they also have a bathroom. It's in line with the others. I did put just some more clutter to make it stand out a bit, make it more couple-like, if you may. And then outside here, they have these workbenches and just things they store, and this is clipping through, as is that. Oh yeah, because I swapped this door last minute. I think we do this for now, and I will fix it before I upload it. But yeah, a bunch of materials here. Maybe he even brings things that you don't necessarily, or he wouldn't necessarily use, but he just leaves them here like, oh, I will use it for a future project, but he never does. And so, but he also built a bench which he is proud of, so maybe that's how they live. And yeah, this is it. I also forgot to show this part outside of the students room. Maybe they have their own generator, just because they have a lot of stuff and a lot of these machines to work with. Maybe they create robotic stuff. I don't know. But yeah, this is it for this build. It's something so different, and it looks huge, but it's also not that big in a way. It just has a lot of details, but I did have a lot of fun building it, and I hope you enjoyed seeing me build this, even though my voice is failing me terribly. And I will hopefully not take this long again to upload. I want to build more and post more often, even though I can't really come up with a schedule. I think I will just do as I feel like doing, and then uploading and editing and all that good stuff. But yeah, let me know what you think of this kind of build, which is very different and maybe not exactly playable if you're into it, or if you prefer more builds that you can actually visit or live in. And I will soon fly home for Christmas, so in the meantime, I wish everyone who celebrates Christmas a happy happy Christmas, happy holidays, and I hope you all spend it with the people you love the most. And also a happy new year, because I will probably not be posting before the end of the year, just because I come back just right at the end of December. And let me know if you have any suggestions or any ideas for builds. I am open to ideas, and I can't wait to build again. It was really, really fun, and I missed being creative this way, and also just uploading and editing. It really, really, it's something that I really enjoy doing, and I hope you guys also enjoyed this build. Let me know, and I will see you in the next video, which hopefully will not take this long. Bye guys, and thank you for watching.